I think it's true to say that the Industrial Revolution transformed the British way of life, and few areas were affected as much as the region we now know as the Black Country. It was rich in coal, in iron ore and limestone and other raw materials, and once man had learned to use them to his full advantage, the fate of the towns that make up the Black Country was sealed.
When masters well as masters may the rig of fancy run, of old and steady workmen late our masters sadly tired, searched England through and through, and then some new ones briskly eyed, some new ones briskly eyed. Lean-fleshed and lousy, scant of clothes, almost as when first born up, cooked meat they never could have seen nor smelt John Fire.
While the Industrial Revolution affected everyone, there are certain individuals who stand out as pioneers. Abraham Darby from Dudley, who in Coalbrookdale perfected a way of using coal to smelt iron. James Watt, whose steam engines turned the wheels of industry. And John Ironmad Wilkinson. In 1757, as the Industrial Revolution was gathering pace, John Wilkinson set up his ironworks at Braidley near Bilston. His arrival marked the beginnings of iron-making in the Black Country. He used the process developed by Darby to smelt iron ore with coke, and as Bilston sat on the rich 10-yard coal seam, there was no shortage of fuel. Wilkinson became a legend in his own lifetime. They called him Iron Mad, and as well as pioneering many innovative changes in production techniques, he was quick to cash in on his skills whenever the opportunity presented itself. When war broke out with France, he supplied both sides with gun barrels, and Bilston-made cannon blew many a Yankee to bits in the American War of Independence. Wilkinson's cannons were put to another use when in 1790 rioting workers threatened to attack his Braidley works. He positioned several loaded cannon in front of the factory, and the mob, in no doubt that Wilkinson would use them, dispersed. John Wilkinson believed that iron could be used to make almost anything, and had his coffin made of the stuff. When he eventually died, he was so fat, another one had to be quickly cast. Although iron-making is all but dead in the Black Country, Wilkinson's memory lives on. This school stands on the site of his original works.
Workmen of Bilston and Braidley, draw near, sit down, take your pipes, and this song you shall hear. I sing not of war or the state of the nation, such subjects as these produce naught but vexation. But before I proceed any more with my tale, you shall all drink my health in a bumper of ale. Fill it up, and without any further parade, John Wilkinson, boys, that supporter of trade. May all his endeavours be crowned with success, and his works ever-growing prosperity blessed. May his comforts increase with the length of his days, his fame shine as bright as his famous blaze. That the wood of old England would fail did appear, and though iron was scarce because charcoal was dear, by puddling and stamping he cured that evil, so the Swedes and the Russians may go to the devil. Frequently burst, a mischief so great he prevented the burst. And now 'tis well known they never miscarry, but drive all our foes with a blast to old Harry. Let each jolly fellow take a hold of his glass, and drink to the health of his friend and his lass. May we always have plenty of good beer and pence, and Wilkinson's fame blaze 1,000 years hence.
While men like Wilkinson were building their ironworks, others were busy constructing the means of transporting the huge quantities of raw materials needed to fuel them, and the goods flowing from them. In the late 18th century, canal mania, sparked off by the successful Bridgewater Canal in Manchester, gripped Britain. A massive labour force was required to dig out the navigations. Initial labour was drawn from local men, but as time went on, an experienced and trained body of men, or navvies, formed a large mobile workforce whose passage left an indelible mark on the countryside, in more ways than one. A tough bunch, they moved from site to site, living in shanty towns, building the motorways of the 18th century, and wreaking havoc in their spare time.
Morning we make it a rule for every man to choose his own tool. He that comes first may choose of the best, and he who comes last may take all the rest. For that's the rule of the bold navigators, for we are jovial banksmen all. On Tuesday morning when we go to work, we strip off our jackets and tighten our shirts. We strip off our jackets and let them out free. We drive our poles by 1, 2, and 3. Oh, that's the rule of the bold navigators, for we are jovial banksmen all. It's when that we come to the bottommost run, we fill up our barrows right unto our chin. We fill up our barrows and pile them up high, and if you don't wheel it, another will try. Oh, that's the rule of the bold navigators, for we are jovial banksmen all.
It's when that we come to the main flank wheel, we lower our hands and hold fast on our heels. For if the flank does bend or go, our ganger on top cries, "Look out below!" For
that's the rule of the bold navigators, for we are jovial banksmen all. And when we are struck by frost or snow, we'll blow up our mess and off we will go. We'll call our timekeeper without any dam to let us have our time before we go tramp. Oh, that's the rule of the bold navigators, for we are jovial banksmen all. And when it does begin for to rain, we'll take up our barrows and all gang in. Straight into a whiskey shop we will go. We don't give a damn whether we work or no. That's the rule of the bold navigators, for we are jovial banksmen all. We'll tell our gaffer without any damp, we'll not pay his tummy before we go tramp. We'll tell our landlady before we do go that it's not our rule to pay what we owe. That's the rule of the bold navigators, for we are jovial banksmen all. That's the rule of the bold navigators, for we are jovial banksmen all.
Many of the ex-navvies later took to the waterways they had built to earn their living. Initially, the booming new transport industry paid well and offered a secure future. Most narrowboats were crewed by men whose families lived ashore, with cabins used only for overnight stops on long hauls. But as competition increased and carriers cut their rates, the hard-hit boatmen were forced to economize by bringing their families to live on and man the boats. Husband, wife, and several children lived in one tiny 10-foot by 7-foot cabin, and life on the canals was hard. To move goods long distances meant an early start and late finish. For the children there was no time for schooling, and the boat people became isolated and shunned as social outcasts. To add to their problems, the canal dwellers were amongst the worst hit victims of a payment system known as trucking or Tommy. Instead of cash, workers were paid with Tommy notes that could only be exchanged for goods at stores owned by the company. High prices, short measure, and poor quality were standard.
You boatsmen and colliers, all come and listen to me ditty. I'll sing you a song, it won't take long, it is both new and pretty. It's concerning Tommy shops and the high-field ruffian, for he pays you with a Tommy note, you must take that or nothing. Now 'tis of the colliers I will tell how they pays each other. Oh, little ever they but a Tommy note from a 1 week to the other. On Saturday when a week's work is done and they go to get their money, the Ifield devils learn the trick but to pay 'em off with a Tommy. Now 'tis of the boatsmen I will tell, sails from Highfields to Runcorn. The boatsmen and their wives all curse him at the junction. None of those belonging to the branch that knows the art of boating. They wish the tailor down his throat wouldn't be a means to choke him. Now when we have done our Runcorn voyage, we goes to get our money. The one off stops for rye and corn, the other off for Tommy. So to the Tommy shop we go to get the week's provision. Our oatmeal, sugar, salt and soap, short weight and little measure. Well, if we've had money instead of this provision, we'd have plenty. For the profits they get out of us, 'tis 9 shilling out of 20. Yet still we jumps on board the boat, the children look so funny. And on our way we cheerful go, till we am better Tommy. Ah, but there is one amongst the rest knows well the art of boating. He vows he swears a wife he'll have so long he's gone a-courting. He vows that he will married be, come listen to me joke, sir. But when the parson's done his job, he'll pay him with a Tommy note, sir. Now we have finished our voyage, the children look so funny. For here at Runcorn we do lie, we have heaped all our Tommy. Come and gear the horse and clear the line, and jump on board the boat, sir. Both night and day we'll steer our way for another Tommy note, sir.
The boat people were not the only class of black country workers to suffer deprivation and poverty. Nail-making was another desperately poorly paid occupation that involved whole families. In 1820 there were around 50,000 men, women and children slaving away in cramped workshops behind their homes. Once again, the longest suffering were the most vulnerable.
I toiled until I dropped, but now I'm 13 years of age, working 17 hours a day. Well, some days I feel like crying, but me tears have all run dry. There's a numbness in the heart of me, and I think I'd like to die. For every nail that's cut and dropped is in me coffin lay. Oh, my father's sometimes cruel to me, oh, the other boys as well, and for our mistakes through weariness, he'll damn us into hell. And this business of the dealer will drive him to despair. Oh, the white-hot sparks he showers on us, in mercy he don't share. For a nail through me ear he's drove for working without care. Well, I know you won't believe me, but I tell you it's true. So if you to a nail shop drove, by hardship or by fear, take care if you're a-crying that the nailer he don't hear. For crying stops you working, and that he'll never bear.
Although the nailers were technically self-employed, they were largely at the mercy of the nail dealers, or foggers. It was they who supplied the iron bar and bought up the finished nails as cheaply as possible. As the 19th century progressed, cheap machine-made nails began to squeeze still further the nailers' meagre income. Strikes were frequent and usually ineffective, and protests fell largely on deaf ears. In 1862, though, the Naylors found support from an unlikely source. Hale's own-born Thomas Atwood, whose father was himself an ironmaster, donated a ton of coal that, to draw attention to their plight, nailers would drag from Netherton to Bromsgrove, where many of the nailmasters lived.
Well, you nail makers all that day remember well the last strike of which this tale I do tell. Mount cold and hungry with that heavy day to Bromsgrove town did it take our toilsome way. I in these nail forges miserable souls, they'll not forget the givers of the calls. Nail masters are hard-hearted files, and the way we took was 13 miles. Well, the slaves abroad in the sugar cane, they have plenty to help I and pity their pain. But the slaves at home in the mine and fire, they have plenty to pity, but none to admire. Well, I wish I could see old nail dealers just a drawing such a load as did we poor nailers. Mine say such punishment and such smart that it might soften their hearts' stony hearts. And so as the nailers do suffer such smart, well, I hopes it will soften old Pharaoh's heart. My, and let each nailer tell to his son the labours that we for our rights have done.
Another source of discontent among the hungry and oppressed working classes was the Corn Law that had been introduced in 1815. The purpose of it was to maintain subsidies on grain to protect the profits of the landed gentry. The effect of it on the working classes was to push up the price of bread, the staple diet of the poor. Decades of unrest followed the introduction of the Corn Law. The colliers were traditionally better paid than most workers. They were also some of the most militant, and their protests carried far more threat than the nailmakers.
Boys, oh boys, in the days of good Queen Bess, me jolly brave boys. In the days of good Queen Bess, Coventry outdone the rest. Your boys, oh boys, the brave Dudley boys, aye, but in the times as be, your boys, oh boys, but in the times as be, me jolly brave boys, but in the times as be, we met on Coventry, your boys, oh boys, the brave Dudley boys. I will wave marching into town, your boys, oh boys. Wave marching into town, me jolly brave boys. Wave marching into town, resolved to pull the housing down. Your boys, oh boys, the brave Dudley boys. And Tippin lads, they did us join. Your boys, oh boys, Tippin' lads, they did us join, me jolly brave boys. Tippin' lads, they did us join, and we formed a strong combine. Yar boys, oh boys, the brave Dudley boys. Well, the times they be mighty queer. Yar boys, oh boys, the times they be mighty queer, me jolly brave boys. Times they be mighty queer, and victual it was very dear. Yar boys, oh boys, the brave Dudley boys. So for to make on cheap, yar boys, oh boys, so for to make on cheap, me jolly brave boys. So for to make on cheap, we burned you all of a heap. Yar boys, oh boys, the brave Dudley boys, aye, but the work hadn't scarce begun. Yar boys, oh boys, but the work had scarce begun, me jolly brave boys. But the work had scarce begun when soldiers came and spoilt the fun. Yar boys, oh boys, me jolly brave boys. Well, we've all run down our pits, yar boys, oh boys. We've all run down our pits, me jolly brave boys. We've all run down our pits, oh, fretted almost out of our wits. Yar boys, oh boys, the brave Dudley boys. Aye, well, it's God and bless Lord and Dudley Ward. Yar boys, oh boys, God bless Lord and Dudley Ward, me jolly brave boys. God and bless Lord Dudley Ward, he knowed his time's been so hard. Yar boys, oh boys, the brave Dudley boys, aye, for he sent back the soldier man. Yar boys, oh boys, he sent back the soldier man, me jolly brave boys. He sent back the soldier man, and we'll never riot again. Yar boys, oh boys, the brave Dudley boys.
Although the Corn Law was eventually repealed, the colliers did in fact riot again, several times. But life wasn't all hard work and strife. When there was some free time available for pleasure, the nature of the pastimes reflected the harshness and violence that was part of life. Cockfighting and bull-baiting were extremely popular so-called sports, and it was bull-baiting that led to the breeding of the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, especially for the purpose. Normally, the bull was chained to a stake, and dog owners were charged a fee to let their dogs have a go. The aim was for a dog to pin the bull by the nose, and the master of ceremonies, or bullet, allowed dogs either singly or in twos or threes to charge, often with horrific injuries to both bull and dogs alike. Bull baits attracted large crowds, and occasionally things went wrong.
Tipton too, the sportsmen crowded to their town, they'd nothing else to do. Old Fancy Dick from Wedgbury come with his good dog shot, but Billy Bald ain't come at all for being drunk to God. In Perry's Croft the bull was staked just as the clock struck 5. And for the baiting had begun, the streets was all alive. When all things weren't put to rights, the crier cried his eyes, bring out your dogs and pin the bull if they come by the nose. The dogs one slipped and at the bull, they went like raving mad. But that old bull, the cunning beast, it ain't mean to be had. He tossed one dog into the air and gave him such a whack that when he dropped upon the ground, he broke his nation back. Another one he caught a jet and turned him inside out, which made old Mo from Willenhall begin to rave and shout. At last they set 6 dogs at him, at which bedlam's begun. The dogs all yelled, the crowd all roared to see such ripping fun. Dog after dog went sailing up like birds into the air, and when they dropped they fairly howled like cripples at a fair. At last they set old shot at him, and when he'd had 2 goes, he sprung upon the weary bull and pinned him by the nose. The bully roared and the bulldog growled, his owner bit his tail, but 'twas a bit of use, you see, the time you can't cabal. At last the bull with sudden toss of his big and gory head flung Billy up his flesh and all, then broke his cord and fled. Right through the crowd he rushed away and got him as he run, which made the rascals cuss and swear, for they call that fun. Then up the town he rushed along, mad with the pain and fear, followed by every barking cur, but none of 'em went too near. When the story short, he run till he could run no more, and then he dropped him straightway down and died upon the floor.
Bull baiting was banned in 1835, although it proved difficult to stamp out because of its popularity, and continued for some years afterwards. Another shocking practice by modern standards, but common in the early 19th century, was wife-selling. Until the divorce court was established in 1857, legal separation could only be achieved through the expensive business of obtaining a special act of Parliament, so the working classes developed their own method. If a man wanted rid of his wife, he would tie a halter round her neck and take her to market. There he would lead her several times round, which was deemed to legalize the process, before he auctioned her off to the highest bidder. Prices range from a few pence to £1 for a good one.
Will sell his wife Sally for what he can get. At 12 in the morning the sale'll begin, so all you gay fellas be there with your tin. And it's ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong, oh-ah-oh-ah, ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong. Well, it's ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong, oh-ah-oh-ah, ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong. For Sally's good looking and as sound as a bell. If you'd only once said her, you'd know that right well. A bake spread quite handy and eats it all up. Brews beer like a good man, drinks every sup. And it's ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong, oh-ah-oh-ah, ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong. Well, it's ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong, oh-ah-oh-ah, ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong. Men preaches, so all the folks say, but let no let her have all her own way. A swears like a trooper and a fights like a cock, and a skinner old feller just many a rod knock. And it's ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong, oh-ah-oh-ah, ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong. Well, it's ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong, oh-ah-oh-ah, ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong. Young fellas says, what in a wife? Come and bid for old Sally, the plague of let's life. At 12 o'clock certain the sale'll begin, so you once splice him, be there with your tin. And it's ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong, oh-ah-oh-ah, ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong. Well, it's ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong, oh-ah-oh-ah, ding-a-dong, ding-a-dong.
Customs like wife-selling and many others played a major role in everyday 19th century life. Superstitions too were very much part of the culture, and few groups were more superstitious than the colliers. The long list of Black Country pit disasters gave rise to a host of beliefs, many with Anglo-Saxon pagan origin. The roll of the dead, or the malloch, was not to be scoffed at, nor was the whistler, a warning wind on the moors, or the knockers, the crackling of coal before a pitfall. An early morning robin was a pagan sign of good fortune, but Gabriel's hounds, the cries of wild geese in the night, told of an imminent disaster.
In the town of Wedgbury I was born, the doggy slave masters and we the grey slaves, and Gabriel's hounds are a call in the graves. Oh, the buddy he robs you, and the Tommy likewise. In the town of Wedgbury I was born. There's little but a hardship, the pick and the mine, and Gabriel's hounds are given the sign. It's Saturday night at the Cockfighter's Arms. In the town of Wedgbury I was born. I give a robin for a cock any day, and Gabriel's hounds are having their way. Now Sunday's a holiday, and a Monday likewise. Tuesday you mean to, but cannot rise. Wednesday you want to, and a Thursday you try. Friday and Saturday the whistler he cries. In the 30-foot coal I spent all me days. Oh, you ask the body, he'll give you a raise. Give you more silver, then truck it away, and Gabriel's hounds are having their say. Now the nailers and cutlers lead very hard lives. They like unto Lazarus and we unto Dives. But look at the Malacan, you'll understand. It's Gabriel's hounds rule.
Custom and superstition influenced almost every aspect of working class life. Soon, another more tangible, but initially at least equally mysterious influence came to bear.
And I will not detain you long about the folks they all did throng along the Oxford Railway. Riff and diff and dirt and fun, don't you wonder how it's done? Carriages without horses run on the Oxford and Hampton Railway. And to go along the line, mother, father, son and daughter, going along at 1 o'clock by 5 by steam and water. Riff and diff and mirth and fun, don't you wonder how it's done? Carriages without horses run on the Oxford and Hampton Railway. And from the villages and the towns, ladies and gents all are gathered around, and music through the air did sound along the Oxford Railway. Riff and diff and mirth and fun, don't you wonder how it's done? Carriages without horses run on the Oxford and Hampton Railway. There's butchers, bakers, nailers too, and lots of gents all dressed in blue, and they've all come to take a view at the Oxford and Hampton Railway. Riff and diff and mirth and fun, don't you wonder how it's done? Carriages without horses run on the Oxford and Hampton Railway. Well, there's a girl in Worcester town, I think her name is Nancy. She said a ride along the line would really please her fancy. Riff and diff and mirth and fun, don't you wonder how it's done? Carriages without horses run on the Oxford and Hampton Railway. She'll go by steam, she'll come by steam, a steam she'll be unhurried, and if she do her husband find by steam, they will be married. Riff and diff and mirth and fun, don't you wonder how it's done? Carriages without horses run on the Oxford and Hampton Railway. Don't give a farthing, for they pulled down me cottage fine and taken away me garden, where I for many years did dwell, growing cabbages and potatoes. But worse than that, my daughter now run off with a navigator. Riff and diff and mirth and fun, don't you wonder how it's done? Carriages without horses run on the Oxford and Hampton Railway. When line is finished at both ends, and you can send your cocks and hens, and go and visit all your friends along the Oxford Railway. Riff and diff and mirth and fun, don't you wonder how it's done? Carriages without horses run on the Oxford and Hampton Railway. Oh, you can send your butter and cheese at any time, whenever you please. You can send your hens and eggs, and them can riders has no legs on the Oxford and Hampton Railway. Riff and diff and mirth and fun, don't you wonder.
The impact of the iron horse was manyfold on the lives of all classes in the mid to late 19th century. Transport was revolutionized, travelling time slashed, and the country opened up like never before. For the poor, though, paradise was still an impossibly long way off.
All bells in paradise I heard them ring. It's gold on the outside and silver within. And I love sweet Jesus above everything. And in that park there stands a hall. All bells in paradise I heard them ring, which is carved all over with the purple and pall. And I love sweet Jesus above everything. And in that hall there stands a bed. All bells in paradise I heard them ring, which is hung all around with silk curtains so red. And I love sweet Jesus above everything. And in that bed there lies a knight. All bells in paradise I heard them ring. Those wounds they do bleed by the day, by the night. And I love sweet Jesus above everything. Oh, at that bedside there lies a stone. All bells in paradise I heard them ring, which is our blessed Virgin Mary then kneeling on. Oh, and I love sweet Jesus above everything. Oh, at that bed's foot there lies a hound. All bells in paradise I heard them ring, which is licking the blood as it daily runs down. And I love sweet Jesus above everything. Oh, at that bed's head there grows a thorn. All bells in paradise I heard them ring, which is never so blossomed since Christ he was born. And I love sweet Jesus above everything.